Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Andrew Keel. Thanks for being on the show, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
Andrew has an amazing story that I know all of you are going to be able to relate to, I hope, or going to be able to learn a lot from it. And you know, he hasn't purchased 20 mobile home parks in 3 years by sitting on his hands. That's for sure. So we're going to hear about his story, how he got started in this business. But, you know, Andrew is a top 100 owner of manufactured housing communities. His team currently manages 20 manufactured housing communities across 8 states. Andrew is training also for an Ironman Florida in November 2020. So that's incredible. That's a lot to keep up with. I know you're traveling right now, Andrew, as well, and you're probably trying to train at the same time. So that's difficult, especially probably the eating while you're traveling right now. But anyway, grateful for your time, Andrew. Looking forward to hearing this story. You know, why don't you back up and you know, let's really share with the listeners, you know, the struggles and what you had to get through to make that first few deals happen, or, you know, let's go back even further to, you know, why mobile home parks and what got you into real estate.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I started out flipping houses around the Central Florida area. I was doing marketing, you know, to try to source off-market deals. And one day I got a call from a seller that had received a yellow letter from me in the Ocala, Florida area. And it was through a probate letter that we had mailed out. And he had 2 mobile homes that were manufactured in the mid-1990s. These were nice vinyl-sided shingle roof homes that were in parks up in Ocala, Florida, that he was the executor of the will, and he was in charge of selling these and liquidating these mobile homes. So that was my very first exposure to manufactured housing as a whole. I had no clue what was going on. I just knew that this was a motivated seller and a good deal. I mean, I went up, I met with him, and he just wanted $2,200 cash for both of the mobile homes. And I knew, I mean, it would cost way more than that to build these things. And they were in decent shape. You know, they needed, you know, little touch-up stuff, you know, new carpet, new paint, things like that. So I did the deal not really knowing how I was going to make money on them. So I bought the 2 homes for $2,200. I got the titles. I came home and I got on YouTube and I typed in how to make money with mobile homes. And I found this guy named Lonnie Scruggs who wrote a book called Deals on Wheels. And I just fell in love with this guy, fell in love with the business model to create mailbox money, where I would buy these homes and then sell them on contract to an end buyer. So I ended up, you know, making a good profit on these couple of deals. And then I ended up carrying it over and doing that again, like, you know, 15 more times, you know, where I had several of these individual mobile homes that I had, you know, fixed up a little bit and then sold on contract. So that's where I got my start. And what really intrigued me to the mobile home park and manufactured housing business was the in crazy amount of demand that I had for these 2 mobile homes. You know, I fixed them up a little bit, took some pictures and put them on Craigslist. And the demand was off the charts. I mean, I had like 25 people reach out in the first 2 days that were interested in buying these homes from me. So I was instantly glued. I ended up meeting a park owner a little bit, you know, further down the line. And he, you know, basically explained to me the benefits of owning the real estate versus the personal property that is the individual trailers. And I had an aha moment and I just became obsessed with mobile home parks. I got every piece of, you know, training material. I went to all the boot camps. I just, you know, got hands-on with every amount of content, every book, every webinar, every boot camp I could get my hands on. And I started marketing to...
About how long ago was this?
That was around...
How long ago was this time when you're like, okay, now this is what I'm going to do and I'm studying?
Yeah, that was like 2014, 2015 that I was like, you know, diving in. I literally, from that lunch, I met the park owner. I went home and I wrote on my refrigerator, it's like a stainless steel fridge. I wrote with dry erase marker that I wanted to buy my first mobile home park that year. and it was like 2015. And then I kind of went through this, I think they call it the Valley of Sorrow, where I didn't end up buying my first mobile home park in 2015, but it was always a goal of mine. And I was building my funnel of, leads. I had started mailing out letters. I started cold calling, and I eventually found a deal that was in Edwardsville, Illinois. And I contacted an investor that was in the MHU boot camp, the Frank and Dave boot camp that kind of teaches all about mobile home park investing. I contacted an investor because I didn't have enough cash to take it down myself. And he ended up partnering with me. We bought that first deal in June of 2017. And by that time, I had built this like wave of deal flow that started coming immediately after we closed that first deal. That first deal was a home run. It was off market. We got a really good price on it. And since then, I did 5 more deals with that same investor, all of which have been refied, and all initial capital has been paid back. And since then, I've syndicated several deals. We bought a portfolio of 5 mobile home parks back in 2018. And, we're just continually buying parks, and we love the business, and it's been really good for myself and my family, and created financial freedom for us. So that's my story, and we love it.
Awesome. That's your story, and you're sticking to it. Right. So, it's interesting that you found these 2 mobile homes, and it sounds like you took action before you really knew much about them. You jumped in and made it happen, and before you really educated yourself. Sometimes that goes really bad for people, but I love how you took action, and you said, like, this just has to be a good deal, and it turned out to be really good. But what gave you the confidence to really take that leap like that? Because ultimately, if they had been really horrible, and now you got these 2 things that are no good, you can't do anything with, it's going to cost you a lot then probably to get rid of them. But what gave you the confidence to take action?
I was just at the time considering the cost to build these 2 homes. And I knew that, there was nothing structurally wrong with them. When I was flipping houses, I had taken courses on that and what to look for in terms of construction, and, the bones of these 2 homes were very good. So I was looking at, rebuilding these 2 homes was going to cost at least $20,000 to $30,000 a piece. So, that was really what got me to take action. I have done other things in real estate investing where I took action like that, and it didn't turn out as well. I went to a class on note investing, to buy individual notes. And I said, okay, this seems like a really good business model. A month later, I got like an off-market opportunity to buy a note, and the guy, he went bankrupt. So the whole process got dragged out, and we ended up losing money on that deal. So, this deal just happened to be a really good opportunity. And, since then I've even more so gone deeper into the manufactured housing space, and it ended up being a really good decision.
Were you working full time when you started this, like another job?
I was not. No, I was doing the wholesaling and flipping full time when I first started, in manufactured housing.
So let's talk about some of those growing pains. You get into this business, and it sounds like, you did 5 deals with that investor. Then you bought a portfolio of 5. So if I have that right, quickly you went to 10 deals. 10 parks. That's a big undertaking just immediately when you just educated yourself about mobile home parks, let's talk about some of those growing pains. What were some of the struggles that you experienced there, or maybe things you now that you wish you had known then?
Yeah. So luckily I had gone to, the MHU boot camp, and I went to a couple other like seminar type of deals, and I had read a ton of content on these. So, I understood, a large portion of this going into my first deal, that saved a ton of heartache, like utility infrastructure is very important. Due diligence is very important. So that was, monumental in my kind of build up phase to get to this level. Going from 1 mobile home park to 10 mobile home parks as quickly as I did, I would say the biggest struggle was, the normal person thinks that, hey, you can work a 40-hour work week. That just didn't exist. I had no life. This was my full deal. I was traveling all the time, and it took a while before I was able to build out the operations team and build out the management structure to, assist with this, the growth that happened so quickly. So, I didn't have a lot of cash to be able to afford to hire property managers and things like that, in terms of like offsite, operations, corporate office team structure. Now we have 12 employees that are all offsite, managers, and help us manage the onsite managers. And, it's a different, structure entirely. But in the beginning, it was me. So that was, a big problem, a big issue that happened. And it was overwhelming at times.
For sure. And I want to just stay on that point for just a second, because I've experienced this almost a very similar story. And it has not been easy. It's been a big sacrifice for the whole family. And I try to stress that point. It's not, while I'm working, 2 full-time jobs ultimately, or did, to make this happen for years, my better half is, she's working just as hard doing everything else. So that was a lot of those things people don't see when they think, okay, I'm going to go make it happen like that guy did. You don't see those things, and you don't realize. And sometimes I think ignorance is bliss, right? It's better you don't know, probably in the beginning. But what was that like? In some of those most intense times, was it more just, being away from family, or was it the stress of that many parks at once, or maybe numerous issues that were happening and learning how to handle them? What were a few examples that were difficult that you had to work through?
Yeah. So for example, and my wife, Katie, is an absolute rock star. I could not have grown and built this business without her support. Just to tell you a little bit about her supportiveness, she moved with me at the time, my daughter was 1 year old. We moved into a mobile home park in Ohio and lived there for 3 months. That was a new property that we just purchased. And that was really, how I got, dove into the project. And that was a fixer-upper property. So I really needed to be on site to manage contractors, manage the infill process, and so forth. So, having that supportive, spouse really is monumental to what I was able to do, because, I was living, it wasn't a 8 to 5, normal job. This was, from when I opened my eyes in the morning to when I closed my eyes at night. And, we were able to understand that up front, that this is a big commitment, but in the end, it's going to be worth it. And, it panned out that way.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story of just the sacrifice that your whole family made, right? You all moved to a park, to make this happen. I just think it's so incredible, and just the success now, because of all of you all's just teamwork and sacrifice. So now you're at the park, and you've grown, say, you got those 10 parks, growing to that scale. I know you mentioned, you were traveling a lot, and just that you didn't have the team yet. What were a couple, or maybe the very first hire that you made, or looking back, what was the first hire that you made? And then looking back, was that the correct, first hire?
Man, I got so lucky, Whitney. My first hire, his name's John Scortino. He was a buddy of mine from high school. We ended up, coming together. He was working as a project manager for a software firm, and they just weren't treating him right, and he wasn't happy there. And the timing just worked out. It was just one of those things that's bigger than yourself. And I was able to hire him and, basically put him in charge of operations. And I was able to focus on acquisition so that we could keep growing. And that was just the best decision I've ever made. And he's still with me today. He's up here in Nebraska with me. We're living out of a Holiday Inn Express, rehabbing the park that we just purchased. And, we're best friends. And that is what has helped us, grow to over 20 parks now, is being a good team and understanding hard work.
Wow. Okay. So that's incredible. Not all first hires are that good, right? Exceptionally good. What was the next hire? What was the next important role that you had to fill?
Yeah. So after that, we hired an offsite, like an admin role hire, and we failed miserably. We thought we knew what we were doing. We went through the whole hiring process and really tried to take our time. And we did a lot of assessments, disc analysis and things like that. And then, after the first month, she said, "Hey guys, this just isn't for me. I was expecting this to be a little bit easier. I'm gonna step away." And we were like, "Well, what do you mean you're gonna step away?" At that time we were up in Illinois, living, and she was kind of back helping us in Florida, handling accounts payable and things like that. So it was really a crisis in the moment. So it's this, it wasn't as good as my first hire. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think we all go through those, and that's, you learn and grow so much through a few of those, and it's like, I've heard, I can't even remember who it was now, but I had somebody that said, it was my fifth hire was just amazing, but it took that many for me to really learn how to find somebody and to train them,
Yeah.
And so, most people say, "No, I'm not going to hire a virtual assistant or somebody, an employee, because of they're just going to leave." But you got to get started, right?
You totally have to, and we've gotten much better. We have 4 virtual assistants now that are on our team, and they're overseas and the absolute rock stars. And we, in the hiring process, we now have tests that they have to complete before getting to an interview phase, and we've learned a lot, thankfully. But yeah, there was some heartache early on, learning those processes.
What are some of the systems that you had to put in place that have that have made your life or your business, success happen or much easier? What are a couple of those systems that were crucial to get in place as quick as possible?
Definitely. So in the hiring process, creating like a test before interviews was just huge for us, because, like, for example, on an Indeed ad that we would put up, we'd get 200 applicants, but
Wow.
that doesn't mean that 200 of them are, grade A quality applicants. So we try to be very detail oriented and set up our tests, our pre-interview tests very well. So that was one thing we implemented. Another thing that we implemented that has been really huge for us is using Slack as a communication software. And for project management, we use Trello, which is a project management software. And it just took a lot of the time that we would spend over the phone, kind of trying to train someone. Now we can systematize that. We can create a video with some screen capture, take that link and put it in a Trello card, and it's there forever. And then if someone quits, we can move the new person in and say, here's your Trello board. If you need to know how to do something, you can go into a Trello card, open it up. There's a video that you can watch how to run a background check, or, whatever the case may be. So systematizing, what each position does has been monumental for our business.
Systematizing what each position does. I mean, that doesn't happen quickly, right? Creating all those videos and being that organized, but long term, I mean, that's incredible. I've done some of the same things, but as far as recording the screen and doing different things where they can hear you talking and walking through it, and then they can watch it, and yeah, it's so beneficial long term. What are some of the, let's say, virtual assistants that are all over the world? What are they doing for you? What are their roles or capacities?
Yeah, so we found like a little pocket of, it's been a gold mine for us. We found, and we have 3 virtual assistants out of Armenia that are just absolute rock stars. I mean, they're very fluent in English. They are on the ball. All 3 of them were actually foreign exchange students and had lived in the United States. And they are like project managers for us. So they are the direct contact for 5 on-site managers. And, they're communicating in Slack daily. They're updating their Trello boards. Every park has its own Trello board that we update. And they're communicating primarily with our head of operations through the Trello board. So that's been absolutely monumental for us. And we also have one additional virtual assistant that is our marketing manager, and she's out of the Philippines, and she, communicates with each on-site manager. She helps get, the ads or the postings for new listings on Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, Craigslist, all the platforms to market new homes that we're selling in different communities. And then she has her own Trello board that she keeps us updated with, how many prospects have reached out and things like that. So that's been monumental in helping us keep our occupancy high.
Is she able to actually take calls for you and things like that as people reach out?
Yeah, she has her own Skype number, and she can call and people can call her. And I mean, she just works her tail off, and it's just been awesome to watch. She's really goes the extra mile, and the way we've set up her compensation is based off production, and just she really works hard, and it's been really awesome to watch, because it takes time to get back to every lead, to keep the Trello board updated, and she just does a great job. So we're thankful to have her and to have found her.
So you're paying based off of production or percentage, something like that. So how did you decide to do that versus, just an hourly wage?
Yeah, so she does have like a base pay that is like an hourly wage, and then she gets bonused based on how many applications that are received per week. So that just, was something that I grew up with. Pre-real estate, I was in sales. I was a sales manager. So, I wanted to make sure that there was a carrot, that was always something they would be working, harder for to kind of reach for, instead of just receiving an hourly wage, whether they worked hard or didn't.
So what's next for the Keel team? What's happening now, or what are you pushing towards now?
Yeah, our goal is just to continue to grow. I have a big goal of owning and operating $100 million in asset value in mobile home parks. We're definitely staying in this vertical. I mean, we have a mobile home transport company that we have started that helps us with our value add infill projects. Like I said, right now I'm living in Norfolk, Nebraska on a new acquisition. And we just plan on continuing to buy parks and grow our portfolio, and, really, work on the value add component, because that has been, it's been successful and profitable for us.
What's been the hardest part of this journey for you over the last 3 or 4 years?
I would say hiring. That's been the toughest part, because, there's the first hire I made, it kind of felt too easy, and I got spoiled. And then there's been other hires after that have, you think are going to be rock stars, and then it doesn't work out. So you have to replace them and move someone else into that role. But I would say what has helped us overcome that is creating a Trello board for each position, and then putting those videos, those how-to videos, on cards, so they have like an encyclopedia to reference, in the future, if they need to know how to do something. And that's just saved a ton of time. And
now you're using Indeed, and you have a test before the interview process.
Yeah, there's like a process that kind of tests their tech savviness. Another hire that I made, which was, I could tell a whole story about this, but she went through the test, and she had her daughter do the technology piece. I had her create a Google spreadsheet and then share it so that it was editable, and it was perfect. Well, then she got into the position, and it was blatantly clear the first week that the tech savviness wasn't what we thought it was. And it turns out she had her daughter complete the test for her, who was, a college age, millennial. So, there's ways around it, but again, we're learning as we go through this, and improving our systems, and, trying to get better.
Yeah, a few integrity issues there.
Yeah.
So what about a way you've recently improved your business, other than hiring, that we could apply to our business?
I would say one, thing that has really helped us is the VAs, hiring virtual assistants, because, they are cheaper, they're less expensive, but you can get really quality, people that are, it's a win-win for them. They have good, stable employment, and during this COVID crisis, a lot of people overseas are unemployed as well now. And, working virtually is an attractive thing for many people, not just in the US. So we were able to, acquire some really nice virtual assistants that are, very impactful in our business. And, I would say that is something that everybody should do.
And how did you find them again? Or was there a virtual assistant, company or something like that you went through, or how did you find them?
Yeah, there was, several websites that we posted the ads on. So I'm not sure which one, specifically it went out to, but, we would just post ads on the job boards, specific per that country that we were targeting.
Okay. So what's your best source for meeting new investors right now?
Best source for meeting new investors, I would say, is referrals, from previous investors. We have a good number of people that reach out to us, and, I'll be honest, we don't have a fund. We are, just doing individual syndications, and, we have a smaller team. So we're only able to do 5 to 7 deals a year. But with that, we usually have, pretty good demand from investors, just based off of the network that we've been able to build.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
I would say tenacity. Whenever I hire someone, I always tell them up front, like, hey, this is not a, sit behind a desk and kind of look at social media all day. This is very involved. We hustle. We're very hands-on. And, one thing that I always tell a new hire is, we don't just send an email off and expect someone to read it and get back to us. We're the type that sends the email. We call afterwards to make sure they got it. And we call, until we get an answer that we need. So whether that's with contractors, whether that's with insurance agents, whether that's with a seller, we're very tenacious and we attack it. And I think that's why we get things done a lot faster than other operators.
Follow-up process is key.
It's so key. Yeah.
How do you like to give back?
Love to give back many ways. We're very involved with our church. My wife and I are. One thing that I've started doing is, newer operators that are in the mobile home park space, they will bring deals to the table. And I've partnered with several of them on, raising the money and then helping with operations. If they would bring a deal that fits the criteria, we would partner on deals together, and that helps them get their foot in the door. So that's something I've done in the past and hope to continue in the future.
Wow. Well, Andrew, amazing show, just amazing story. I just appreciate your willingness to share and us all learn from just your hard work and your whole family's sacrifice ultimately. And I just want to say congratulations on, reaching financial freedom and just making it happen. And ultimately a short period of time, right? I mean, you've done it, but that does not happen, without a lot of hard work and just being willing to keep getting up after getting punched in the face, right? I like to say that. It's just, it happens. And it's those that keep getting up, that are going to make it. So congratulations to you. I know the listeners would love to learn more about you. How can they get in touch with you and learn more about your team?
Yeah, the best way would be through our website. That's keelteam.com. It's just KEELTEAM.com.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.